Good morning.
Morning.
How we doing in there?
Good.
We doing a class of one?
It's like six of us in here. We're just not in the camera.
Y'all move over somewhere so I can see people. Yeah, yeah. Y'all the last few standing.
Yeah.
How does it feel?
Good. I feel like we only have a couple of weeks to our pro day, so that's good.
Yeah, it's coming. So we know people have left and received everything that they need to receive. Hopefully, you all also have saw that there was a post assessment for myself in the classroom, and I think just as a reminder for everybody in there to make sure that you do that. I've been texting some other fellas just to make sure that they can do those things as well. And so today I kind of knew about how many folks I'd have, so I wanted to just chat a little bit about literally the how you tell your story. And why that's so important as you guys are transitioning now away from test into your, into your life, if you will, as far as preparing for your pro days, the extra workouts that will come, phone calls, just kind of the next phases of your soon to be career. And so I wanted to just kind of chat with us a little bit about that today and just spend maybe about 20 or 30 minutes talking about it, and then making sure that if you all obviously if you need anything, you know how to connect and find me. So that's one of the things that I'm excited about. Good morning, Gare. How you doing?
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Thank you for making a change. I appreciate that. So thank you guys for coming in. And so this is what I really want to make sure that you guys take away today specifically. When I talk to players, when I have done assessments, even in the past for teams, as I've received phone calls from teams at the combine, and as they move forward, folks will reach out and ask questions about like certain players. One of the main things that I want to make sure that you guys know how to do and can do it well is really to be able to tell your story. So there's a couple of aspects to this, and so if you all are note takers or however you choose to do this, you can absolutely take notes. So there are always circumstances in each of our careers, whether we've been injured, whether we weren't starting for a period of time, whether we went to a small school, big school, transferred, went JUCO, whatever your particular circumstance is, there is going to have to be this understanding that this is how your story will work. Anytime that you're talking to a team, specifically coaches or front office folks or even scouts these days, is understanding, good morning, is understanding how does this trajectory work? Okay, so the first part is being able to acknowledge the past. So being honest about the past, acknowledging the past, what happened in the past. So we acknowledge that. We simply say, okay, this is what happened, and you need to be able to communicate what happened. And I'm probably going to use injury today as just as an easy example, because because that's an easy one we can walk through. Everybody, I'm assuming, has experienced some level of that at a small level. So we acknowledge the past. That's the first thing that we do, because teams will ask those questions. They want to know about the bad stuff, if you will. So you acknowledge the past. Now, the key is after you have acknowledged the past, you need to talk about how that past has helped you prepare for the present. Okay, so I'm always writing down preparation for the present. And the next phase of this is acknowledging the past, how it's prepared you for the present, and how that will make you a better player for the future. Okay, so we acknowledge the past. We talk about that past and how it has prepared us for the present. And then we acknowledge how that present situation is going to make me a better player for your future. Okay, so we have this past acknowledgement, present is prepared me for the present. Now it's going to help make me a better player in the future. Okay, so we're going to wrap around this a little bit today. So if somebody wants to be open, it's an easy one. We're going to talk about an injury. So somebody please share with me an injury that they had where they had to miss games. Or you can make one up, but somebody in there has a situation.
I had a low back injury beginning of this season. I missed 2 games.
Okay. So here's some questions. I'm just gonna throw some out there, and then I'm gonna help craft a little bit of the story, if you will. So when did you find out you had this low back pain that you couldn't play through? I mean, right? You had training camp and summer camp. I mean, like it seems like how did you miss these 2 games? Right? That's a line of questions.
Yeah, it happened in camp. I just tweaked it, stepped wrong, and I was bending back to take a double team, and I just felt like an excruciating pain in the back of my hip, and I ended up with an L5 stress reaction in my spine, and then I just had the only way that it'll go away or not become a stress fracture in my spine was to just sit off of it and let it rest. So that's what I had to do.
Okay. So so this is good because then you helped me already with it. All right. Okay. What did you do when you were away from the injured to heal? What did you do to help get you prepared for when you came back? What were the things you did?
I did a lot of treatment. I was in a training room every single day. And then my coaches helped me a lot. My strength coach brought me aside, did my own lifts every day. And we did stuff so it didn't hit my low back and tried to strengthen my low back and muscles around it so that it didn't happen again and it wouldn't hurt when I started playing again.
Okay. So you came back from that injury and you finished the rest of the season and you haven't had any low back issues since?
No, I haven't.
Okay. So watch from what you just shared with me. I'm gonna help you craft this story, right? It's gonna be good, I hope. All right. So we acknowledge the past, right? So this is a way to acknowledge it. So you speak to it. Well, I got injured and missed a couple of games because unfortunately I hadn't done the things necessary to strengthen my back that I should have. I didn't even really know. But what this injury allowed me to do was actually take another look. And I was able to be in the training room every day, watch film, and also do some different exercises to strengthen my back. And since I was able to do that, I played the rest of the season, which allowed me to have X number of numbers, whatever I did. And I was there for my team. You see how that worked?
Yeah.
Okay. So sometimes when we get injured, we ask ourselves, man, how did I get injured? There's a couple of things even in your own story. One of the things is you try to take on a double team. So that means you're engaged. You were trying to do what you need to do. It happened in camp. So you're trying to do the best for your team. These are all we do. That's a beautiful way to kind of encapsulate the story. So you acknowledge the past. Really, the past was because you really want to let somebody know, like, hey, I wasn't all the way. I thought I was doing what I needed to do, but I realized I wasn't doing what I needed to do. It's okay. I now have prepared for that in the moment. I've gotten stronger. I've done these things. This is what I was doing. This is how I fixed the error that I had in the past. Now that I fixed that error, look at what it has already allowed me to do in the future. Boom, I'm ready to go. You see how that worked?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's just an example. So here's another similar circumstance. It would be a personal situation. Like, say for an example, we could talk about maybe you transferred from schools. So people want to know, well, how come you transferred? And this is a common one now. We have the transfer portal. It's wide open. So, but players and coaches and scouts, they still want to know how come you transferred. So you can talk about your situation that you had incurred while you're playing where you're playing. Maybe you're a grad transfer. Maybe you transferred after your first season, whatever the circumstance. But you acknowledge it. You tell why that happened. I realized that it wasn't as good of a fit that I had originally intended it for it to be. The coaches that recruited me were no longer there. Whatever the situation is, you speak to it. How did it prepare you for your present circumstance? Well, now that I've gone through that, I know what it's like to go to a new place, start over again, meet new people, new coaching staff, new whatever it is. Right? And then obviously this is preparing me for my future because I'm going to go to a new team, a new city. I'm going to have to learn new coaches, new schemes, but I've had experience doing that. And so I didn't just come from one scheme and that's the only thing that I know. I actually know multiple schemes or multiple coaching staff styles. And so now I'm able to take that information and move forward with that when I do go to your new spot, your new team, your new place, wherever you're going. So you're able to take and acknowledge something that happened to you that some people look at as a not good thing, depending on when you transferred. But also then from there, what are you doing now in the present? How did you prepare for that since that happened? Did you play? Did you get time? When did you get time? Those details. And how is that going to make you a better player in the future is, well, I've learned that I can move from one place to another place, meet new friends, meet new staff, just what I'm getting ready to do for your team. I'm going to go to your city and meet new people, new scheme, new staff, so on and so forth. But I've learned I know that I'm capable of being able to do that and seamlessly transition on a team of fellas. So and still be able to produce and provide what I need to provide. So that's all part of this process. Does that make sense? Okay. So when we're thinking about our story, we want to make sure that we understand what our stories are individually, so that way we can acknowledge them, because it's stuff we did or didn't do. But then we have to figure out how are we prepared for the present, and then how is that information going to help me in the future. So at the end of the day, what we always want to remind somebody of is this. I went through this situation to help me prepare for today, so that way I can be a better football player for tomorrow for your team. Ultimately, what you're doing is no matter what you land on, you're going to be landing on how this situation, how your story is going to allow you to be the best football player for the team that is looking to talk with you. Okay? Because what ends up happening in all of this is very unique. Some of you have done this and have seen it, watch it on TV, is the personal stuff, the extraneous, the extracurricular things people talk about. That would even be like transferring, injuries, all that stuff. It's not even game film. Like, did you not watch the film? You're like, hello. It's the extra stuff. And so that extra stuff needs to be addressed, but you're the person that can actually make the tie on how the extra stuff, whatever those things were, will now make you a better football player / investment for this team. At the end of the day, they want to make sure that they're asking these questions because they're trying to separate or figure out are you worth the investment? Is this the person that's worth the investment? Okay. The most interesting thing that I shared even yesterday, someone was wanting me to talk about Wilson and all that good stuff, and is he worth the investment? That's the question. Now, there's some bigger questions out there because the team itself is for sale. And if you have a player of that caliber or leading the team or the face of your team, he increases the what? The product, the investment. So now it becomes a little bit more money on the back end for somebody to buy this team because we have this person who is worth the investment. So these are all things, and understanding these things are really important as you guys are trying to separate yourself. You're trying to look a better stock, as a better prospect, better investment for those that they're comparing you to. And so that way you get an opportunity. When you get your opportunity, then obviously it's about performance and availability. So are you able to perform and be available to perform when you have those opportunities? And that's what all of you are looking for, is those opportunities, no matter where you're going to go and no matter how you get there. At the end of the day, we want to be able to have an opportunity to prove that you're worth the investment. And at the end of the day, that's what we're looking to accomplish. So everybody in here can be successful at their level of success because they're able to go and make the best of the opportunity that they have, that they've been able to receive, because you've been able to tell your story the best. So this aspect of the process really is, you've been there, you've done all of the physical work, you've done everything that you needed to do physically, if you will, while there. We hope, we pray. And then now you're leaving there with information, with also a way to continue training that's going to set you apart. So that way, when you have your opportunity, you'll be able to shine. Okay. One thing that I want to make sure too that you guys are all understanding is how not only do you tell your story, but now that you know that information, we have acknowledging our past, we're preparing for the present, we're talking about how this is making you a better player for the future. Now that you know how to do that, we're going to talk a little bit about your upcoming, if you will, performances that's getting ready to take place. Okay, so all of you have pro days. You have a pro day that you're going to go to, whether it's your own team or someone else's. And the main thing is that you will be nervous. I know y'all are grown men. You don't agree, but you do understand that you will have a tinge, if you will, of nervousness. And so the one thing that we know is that nervousness in and of itself is a good thing. I just want to remind you of that. It's the same thing when we're talking to a coach or a scout or a GM. We get a little nervous. We get a feeling, if you will, and that's okay. It's okay to have that feeling. It's actually something that you want to have, because we can now leverage the adrenaline, if you will, that's going to allow you to perform to the level of what you've been trained for. And so the reason that when you get nervous, if you will, the one thing that I want to make sure that you guys are tracking, and we've talked about it in these sessions over these few weeks, is that statement of what's important now. And you must ask yourself that question when you're nervous, because if you don't, then you'll miss what you need to be actually focused on. And so that kind of question in the midst of being nervous is going to allow you guys to be extremely successful in the task that you have to do. So really what's important now during your pro day, while you're training, to be able to ask and answer that question and have some confidence that you have trained appropriately, that you can trust your training. And so if you can trust your training, then you're going to do a fantastic job of letting the training happen. That means lifting and running and cutting and L drills and catching balls and blocking and whatever it is that you need to do during these pro days. So, I want to make sure that you guys leave with that, being able to understand, I have a story, I need to be able to tell it. And these are the components, the 3 components of that. Recognize that nervousness will happen, it will occur. But I need to ask myself, what's important now? When I ask myself that question, hopefully you have the truth. Well, I've done this, I've done that, I've done this. This is what's important. Now I can actually trust the training that I received and let it shine, let it do what it do. So people that went to the combine or 2 quarterbacks went there, they performed great, and they were able to trust the training that they had received, and now they have an opportunity to go and get to do it again. So we got to live up to that standard that we set for ourselves. And so now we get to go do it again. And so they're just very fortunate to be able to have 2 opportunities to do so. And so you guys have an opportunity, and hopefully from your one opportunity, you get another opportunity, because teams love to bring guys in for private workouts and opportunities. So whether that's a rookie camp, whatever that deal might look like for you, you'll have some other opportunities. So you just have to use the first one, make them. I always say, make them go look again, right? You want to check your film one more time, get an opportunity, and then make the most and best of those opportunities, each and every one of them that come your way. Okay. Does anybody have like a specific question that they wanted to ask with the group? And I will answer it for you, and kind of walk you through there. So be up or
I got a question about the injury thing. Like, if they asked me about how the injury affected me on the field, and like, how, it didn't really necessarily. I mean, like, my stats didn't go down as much, but I didn't have the same amount of like accolades or whatever at the end of the season like I did the year before. You know what I mean?
Sure. Well, missing 2 games will do that, and you can easily speak to, like, you knew that you missed 2 games, so you missed 2 statistical opportunities essentially, right? Each game, I mean, whatever that looks like, that's a big deal. And you can speak to that, and you can also speak to, because you missed those 2 games, that's something that's very important to share, is that you were not trying to go and make up for those 2 games either. You still played within the system. You did your job. You did what you were asked to do. You weren't trying to be selfish and go get yours, if you will. You see what I'm saying? A lot of players are like, man, I missed these 2 games. I'm gonna go out here and try to do everything I can. I'm gonna just break all the rules and do what I need to do. You didn't do that. You stayed within the system. You speak to that. That's very important. You know what I mean? You didn't come back trying to make up for those 2 games. But to be honest with you, the thing that actually you might not have the same accolades, but what you did receive is a lot better technique, learning how to fight double teams better because of the injury that occurred. You learned a lot more skills and techniques to be able to do that better. And you also strengthen the area of weakness in your body, so that way you would not be re-injured again. You see what I'm saying? That's the woo. Okay, that's what happened. Yeah, that's what happened. So now you're prime. Now you have 2 less games on your body, so you better use those games next year, because there's like 17 games, right? So it's a good thing. Great question. Anybody else? Going 3 times. What we got? Everybody feeling pretty confident? Brandon, how you doing over there?
Good.
You staying out of trouble?
Yeah.
Okay. So everybody that's I call it the last Mohicans. The funniest thing about these moments, if you will, is you have the capability or the ability, if you will, to have all of the attention that you need just to get the last little tweaks, because there's so few of you. And so I know there's some speech. What I always say is, at every moment there's an opportunity to be taken advantage of, and this is an opportunity for you to take advantage of some like real personal attention before you leave. And so make sure that you take advantage of that lower number of people, because again, like I'm just saying, it's like a big deal. So just kind of think through what that looks like, what that feels like. But now you have an opportunity to really grind out the last few days that you're there, and take a lot more away even. So I would recommend that you do that. Usually the last Mohicans are people that tend to find themselves with a jersey. So I'm just saying, it almost never fails actually. So just go do what you can do, get after it, and I look forward to seeing you guys and following your Instagram stories and all the good things. So you all know how to catch me. Get in contact if you need something as things come up. If you ever find yourself in a jam of sorts, meaning you're not really sure, what you should say and how you should say it, or where you're gonna go, what you're gonna do, please let me know, and I'll walk you through it. So I'm excited about where you guys are headed, and I'm looking forward to watching and following and being a small part of that. So with that, I get to see you all later. As I mentioned, for some of the not new guys, but the guys that came in a little bit later, there was a post assessment that I did put into the classroom for you all. I would be very, very, very happy if you did that. It'll take you about 7 minutes, maybe, to do, but it'd be important for me for later. So I would appreciate you taking a little bit of time and completing that today before or by Friday or whenever it is, so that way it's done and out of the way. Well, with that being said, I appreciate y'all time today. Thanks for coming a little bit earlier. I know that I had asked Gary to move the time up. We have to take care of family here. So, I appreciate you guys coming in and learning, and let me know how I can be of assistance moving forward. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. I appreciate you guys. Have a good one.